your coffee break with me. Come and take your coffee break with me. Come and take your coffee. Come and take your coffee. Come and take your coffee break with me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Coffee Break with Candace. I'm your co-host, David Marino, and today I have an awesome guest. When I thought of community leader, this is one of the first people that came to mind because she is so active in the community. She actually started Keeping Communities Connected. It's a nonprofit that provides informational content, and it serves as a mentoring program to youth and young adults. She was also the first Black Hayes CISD board trustee. And so without further ado, I want to welcome Sandra Bryant to my show. Sandra, how's it going today?
Hi, thank you for having me, David. It's going really good. I'm relaxing a little bit more, and it's the end of the day, so it's all good.
Oh, and I know that you've been ready to get back out into the community because you are so active. First of all, I want to tell you, you're an inspiration to people like me because I often think that I need to get more involved in the community, and I see how much you do. I want to start off with Keeping Communities Connected. Can you talk about that nonprofit and what was the catalyst to get that started?
So Keeping Communities Connected, also known as KCC, is my baby. It was birthed out of my time when I stepped down from the school board. A year into stepping down from the school board, I knew that I wanted to continue to serve my community. And so KCC was birthed. I stepped down from school district to go back to school to get my master's degree in human service counseling. And I wanted to stay connected to my community and to the people and the relationships that I had built. And so this is a way of me giving back to my community, just not being on the board, but still continue to serve my community and surroundings. So that's how that was birthed.
Can you tell me a little about what you do in that nonprofit? I read that it's a mentoring program to youth and young adults. Can you talk more about that and expand on it?
Absolutely. So the mentoring aspect is we service youth and young adults from 12 to 21 years old. And basically what we're doing is taking that person that's in school and middle school and all the way out of high school and into college, I should say. And so what we're doing is offering them a scholarship to meet their needs if they choose a career or a trade school to go into. And so through that process, we're building funds to support 4 schools in our community, as well as giving them the opportunity to do some internship, increase their soft skills, and get some experience before they leave high school or go into the real workforce.
Which is very important because I'm sure you being in the education community, you've probably seen some students who have fallen through the cracks. Is that one of the reasons that this program is so important to you or having this nonprofit?
It's definitely one of the reasons for my nonprofit. And I say that because it's so many, for a while we were pushing for kids to go to college. And so everyone doesn't go to college. And so if you can find a trade without the debt, then that was the catalyst behind that. But it's either career or college readiness is what we're preparing the kids for. And so many kids, when they leave high school, they're like, we're going to go to college. And then they get to college and they say, I want to do something different. So we're just providing that opportunity for them to do both, have that option to do both. And we love it. It's a mentoring program that serves the needs of the students right where they're at.
And I'm sure you've had some success stories. Can you share anything that you've learned yourself from some of the students that you help with this nonprofit?
Oh my gosh. Our kids are inspiration to me. I have one that comes to mind, one story that comes to mind where I am mentoring a young girl who is an artist by trade, but wants to go off to college, wants to go to HBCU college, Historical Black College University. And so during that mentorship, I am inspiring her to live her dream. So the other thing she does is poetry writes poetry. And so one of the ways that we inspired her, we invited her to the Catherine Ann Porter House on a poet night, and she got to meet the author of a book, and I can't recall the book at the present time, but she got to meet the author. He signed it, and that was her first time ever being exposed to something of that nature. So it really is bringing them out of their shell and exposing them to what they are not used to. Because in my household, my husband and I both say, if you can see it, you can be it. And so that's what we're trying to do for the kids in our community.
I want to list some of the other things that you do because you do a lot and I'm sure that you're tired. So you are the president of the Summer Point HOA in Buda, where you live. You're on the Buda Police Foundation, where you're vice president. You're a member of the Buda Lions Club. You're the membership chair. And then you are on the Hayes CISD PTA Council and you are the president. Sandra, when do you sleep? This is so much, but I'm sure it has to be really rewarding for you to be involved in so many organizations. But I want to go back to, when did your love for serving the community begin in your life?
For me, I've always been a volunteer. Like when I'm good at something, I'm great at it. And so I use that to give back. And so I would say probably, it could probably go back as far as elementary, when I used to volunteer for different things in the community for just to help people out. And so just that love and that gratitude that you get back in return, it's so fulfilling. So for me, it's not even work. It's just what I do. It's a calling. It's a purpose that I've been put in position to do, and I love it. So it's for me, I don't look at it as work. I look at it as a reward for my existence here and what I'm supposed to be doing.
And I'm sure as part of your nonprofit, one of the things that you probably talk to some of the students about is the importance of serving in the community. How do you think that's helped shape you as a person just in your everyday life?
So that's a good question. When you're serving in the community, what you find out is you're going to serve all kinds of people. And that means that the people, friendly people, mean people, happy people, whatever that is at that particular time. And so it really builds your character. It teaches you so many skills that you will need to succeed in the world, because everyone is not like me or my husband. And so you learn how to communicate with different people. And that's a beautiful thing for me to experience as a community advocate in our area, and take it to me going forward. And I teach those skill sets, the same thing for the kids that I mentor. Like, you're going to be in school and you're going to have someone that you're going to be paired up with. And so you have to learn their strength and know your strength. And then together you can make a better portfolio that you can present to your teacher or others.
And I also have to thank you because you're a veteran, correct?
I am.
You and your husband both.
Yes, we proudly served our country, our U.S. Army, of course, and we're very grateful for that experience and endeavor. It taught me so much about leadership when I didn't know about myself as a leader. Believe it or not, David, I was extremely shy person growing up, very, very shy, walk with my head down. But I had a mentor in my life that inspired me and that believed in me. And that's one of the catalysts that I use to reach children and students, because I know what it did for me. And so I try to reciprocate that back to the people that are in my circle and beyond. And so being in the military, it allowed me to build leadership skills that I didn't have. And so it built a sense of confidence, as well as, I was stationed in different states. And so just getting out of Texas is a whole nother level of things when you deal with people. So I just learned a lot about being in the military, and it really was a strengthening point for me to know which direction I wanted to go.
Now, did you grow up in Texas, or what's a little bit of your background in terms of where you grew up?
I'm from Corpus Christi, and my mom was a single family. We lived in a 500 square foot home. We were very poor. We moved several places, and really the base of my growing up, 5th grade to about 9th grade, we moved to the projects. And so during that experience, it was a whirlwind, an eye-opening for me. I had to adjust, and it was tough. It was tough adjusting coming from one side. I used to live, all my friends were Hispanics. So I lived on one side of the town, and then we ended up moving to the north side, where the projects was, and everything was right in that vicinity. I mean, it was a police department, it was a store, it was a pool, it was a recreation center, and it was tons of projects. And so I had to grow up quickly, and I had to find my identity. And I didn't find it until later in life, because I didn't really know who I was when I went to the project. And so it was just a different kind of Black for me. And so, but you know, you learn, you adjust, and you take those hard knocks of life and you make them better when you get older. At least it was for me. So yes, I was bullied for a long time, and that's why I'm a big proponent of bully prevention. And I stand up. I'm the voice for the voiceless. I often say I have no flight, no flight. I only have fight in me, because that's how I was raised. And so just my life experience created that for me. So it was a long road, to say the least. But once I got my confidence, which was many years later, I vowed to make certain that I speak up for everyone that was too afraid to speak up. So yeah, very rough background. Definitely a learning experience. I have siblings. I have 3 other siblings, and I was a middle child, so I have that middle child complex for a little while, anyways. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough being Sandra and at chapter 10, all the way up to probably chapter 18, which are the years of my age.
I'm sure that it helps. Thank you, first of all, for sharing your experience, your life experience. I'm sure that translates well into having your nonprofit and into volunteering. What would you say to a young person who's watching this right now that maybe is experiencing bullying, or they are dealing with just a tough upbringing? What would your message be to them when they feel like there's just no hope?
Ooh, I would say find a mentor. Find someone that believes in you and that can build you up, and that you can go to and confide in, no matter what the situation is. And once you find that person or persons, then just be authentic with them. Be real. Let them know what's going on. How do you handle the situation? I do a lot of quiet time for myself as an adult. As a young person, I didn't think I needed that, or even knew that existed. But the best advice I would say is find a mentor, find someone who believes in you. Don't lose your morals or your values, but stand up for what you believe in. And I have to say this: when you stand up for what you believe in, sometimes you're going to stand alone, but know that when you have that support available, it will help you get through it.
Now, a few years ago, you became the first Black HCASD board trustee. What did that mean to you? And was it surprising? I'm sure it was obviously a proud accomplishment in your life, but was it also surprising that you were first? Does that ever strike you that, I know this was a few years back, but that we're in 2021 and there are still many firsts to be had? What goes through your mind when you hear people say you're first?
David, that's very touching to me. Never would I've thought, so I'm Generation X, and never would I've thought that I would be creating a legacy that would say I'm the first of anything. Though I am the first generation of a graduate in my family, but in society. So being the first African American school board trustee really opened my eyes to what could I do better? How can I make certain that I represent not just the first of African Americans, but for entire school board, because I was at large. And so when you're at large, you run across the district, Buda and Kyle, Needawal, Mountain City, City of Hayes, and all those other cities. And so for me, it was a huge accomplishment. I was very touched by that, being the first African American, and I'm still the only first and ever African American. But it taught me a lot. It opened my eyes. It helped me to see how education is taught across the district, and it really motivated me to give even more and to inspire other students and parents and teachers, and that they too can do this. If I can do it, they can do it, because I've come from again, very humble beginnings, and I would have never thought that I would be the person that I am today if you would have asked me, if you would have asked Sandra when I was 10 or 8 years old. I just never thought it would be. So I am so humbled and honored to be the first African American school board trustee for Hayes CISD, and I look forward to giving back in that way.
What would your advice be to people out there who they're not really involved in the community right now, but they really would like to be, but maybe they're a little nervous to step out of their comfort zone? And you said earlier that when you grew up, you were pretty shy. So it is possible to push yourself and get out of that comfort zone. And sometimes it's a good thing to do that, right?
Yes, I totally agree. It's not easy, but it is a good thing to get out of your comfort zone, because you're as a human being, you want to grow. And that's part of the growing process, is to get out of your comfort zone and just take baby steps. So for me, my biggest step was just joining like PTA, joining different committees, small things, staying behind the scenes, and just helping out here and there, volunteering for different things. When I initially moved to Hayes County, I have a love for basketball. And so when I initially moved to Hayes County, what I did was I coached Little League. And so I coach, I'm a coach for 20 years, but I coached Little League. And this allowed me to build relationships with parents and with the kids. And so I'm a different person on the basketball court. I have to put that disclaimer out there because I'm very passionate. But so just those little bitty things that you do. Volunteer at a concession stand, you have to talk to people, you have to communicate, so that'll build your confidence, and people will start recognizing who you are, and then you just start giving back.
Is there something else that you've thought of that you would like to pursue in the future, in terms of whether it's volunteering or whatever it is? Are there other things that you are looking forward to that you've thought about doing that you haven't done yet?
Let's see. I think that my ideal goal is, I work full time, by the way, I work for UT. And so my ideal goal is to become full time in my own business with KCC. I would like to see that flourish. That's my overall goal, is to connect with community and build that platform. And doing so, I have a love for animals. So I would love to build an animal shelter in the city of Buda. So between that and the animal shelter, those are my two top goals that I would like to accomplish going forward. So I'm working toward that. The committees that I'm on, it's really about building relationships. And that's what I care deeply about. So when people are in my circle, or the different levels of circles I have, then I really cater to building a strong relationship, because that is so important to where I'm trying to go, and to where I can, where they're trying to lead me as well, because I'm constantly learning from the different people that I encounter with.
Is there anything else that you would like to add, just about your volunteering or just in general?
So yes, I do. So if you want to volunteer, I would encourage you to take baby steps. Go join PTA. Do something in the community. There's tons of stuff happening in the community. Just Google or go on social media sites, and you can participate in that. I would say be kind. Just pick one person out randomly, pay for their coffee up front, pay for their groceries, pay for something. Write them a note, tell them thank you. It's so important to be kind in these days and times, and even beforehand. But I would say be kind, and you just never know what struggles people are going through, and a small gesture can go a long way. So I keep that in mind. And then lastly, again, if you want to contribute to my organization, Keeping Communities Connected, we are raising funds for sponsorship. And so that would be another way to give back to to my organization. It's nonprofit, it's tax deductible. We're online. You can look us up at www.keepingcommunitiesconnected.org. And that's really it. I love giving back. And so it's not work for me. It's a joy. It really is.
Well, thank you so much, Sandra, for being with us today. I know that you'll continue to do as much as you're doing now or not more. So again,
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Hi guys, I'm Aisha with Crave Counseling, and I'm so excited to be joining Coffee Break with Candace with this particular segment around mental health. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month and has been Mental Health Awareness Month in the United States since May of 1949. And so the purpose of that month is to bring more awareness around the mental illnesses that individuals within the United States are struggling with. And so over time, there has been more and more research as it relates to the initiatives around the awareness of mental health. And so one thing that we've noted from the last few years is that 1 in 5 individuals struggle with a mental illness. 1 in 20 individuals struggle with a severe mental illness, and suicide is the second leading cause of death for individuals aged between 10 and 34 years of age. And so what we've also learned as providers within the community, or those that work in social services, those that work in school districts, or even just family members, we've learned that so many people go through these struggles alone, and there are a variation of reasons. One is because there may be a stigma around it. Oh, we don't really talk about mental health. Another thing could be not having the resources that they need to get the help that they need. And then the other part is I may not be in a mental state in which I know how to go out and seek services. And so that's what that typically looks like for individuals who may be going through this thing alone. And so one thing that we always like to start with is, what is your issue of concern? So figuring out what it is you're struggling with. Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Is it work-related stress? Is it childhood trauma? Was it a previous sexual assault? Is it military related issues? Are you trying to reintegrate back into the civilian world? What are you struggling with? And then from there, you need to find a list of providers, or you can find a list of providers based off the issue of concern. So if you have insurance, you log into your insurance account, you search for providers, whether it's a licensed professional counselor, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a licensed clinical chemical dependency counselor, whether it's a advanced nurse practitioner, whether it's a physician assistant, or whether it's a physician or a psychiatrist that offers mental health related services. Once you figure out what that type of provider is you're looking for, you reach out to those individuals. Again, if you have an employer, your employer may offer so many free talk therapy sessions or so many coaching sessions, or they may even offer support with medication management through their employee assistance program. And then they also may offer support with just other things that you might need help with. And so with that EAP program, they give you a list of providers based off your issue of concern, which is why it's so important to figure out what your issue of concern is. Now, if you're an individual who might not necessarily know, right, like something's wrong or you're trying to figure out what it is, then maybe, just find providers that generally work with certain types of issues, whether it's something you're interested in learning about or whether you think you're struggling with it. Once you get the providers listed out, pick about 4, 5, 6 providers that you're interested in having a conversation with, and reach out to them. So I will give you a disclaimer. Not all providers are for consultations. Sometimes you just show up and you figure out what type of provider they are when you get there. And so if they offer it, it's important to ask questions. Now, if you're talking about someone who does traditional therapy, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral and things like that, it's important to ask, what is their experience with certain types of mental illnesses? Do they have a preference that they prefer to work with, or do they enjoy working with that particular mental illness? Do they accept the insurance that you have called them based off of? Are they accepting new clients? Do they have a no-call, no-show fee? How do you go about utilizing your insurance? Do they offer additional resources or community resources? Do they offer cognitive behavioral therapy? Do they offer EMDR? Do they offer dialectical behavioral therapy? So just really truly interviewing them and getting to know them, and then even asking them about their professional work history. No, I'm not saying ask them about their job when they were 16, but what I am saying is ask them about some of the more related types of positions that you might think that you might want to know more information about. Once you've done that, you hone down on which provider you think that you want to move forward with. Whenever you pick that provider, you let them know, hey, can you give me the intake forms, and figure out how it is you get your first session started. And again, that can typically be done with the consultation, but if it's a provider that does not offer a consultation, you may have to ask their front office admin staff. Once you get started and you decide, I'm going to go with this provider, you and that provider agrees, you guys set up your first session, it's important to figure out how you're going to pay for that first session. So you can go the employee assistance route where your employer is covering so many sessions. You can go the insurance route where you have a copay or you have a deductible, and some insurance plans you don't have either, and you just go and the services are covered at 100%. And then you also have the opportunity of doing cash if they have a sliding scale fee, or you have the opportunity of using your health savings account or your flexible spending account, as long as it's not a limited account. If it's a limited account, you may not be able to use that to cover behavioral health services. So once you figure that out, first session is in session, you pay, and then from there you decide, or even during the first session, you come into what are your symptoms? What are some things that you've tried that is no longer working? Do you feel like your coping mechanisms have been helpful? What works, what hasn't worked? Talk about, is it seasonal? Is it something that's situational? Is this a new issue of concern? Is this something you've been dealing with your entire life? And kind of just talk about that within the first session, and even go over family history of mental illnesses. And then once you continue your journey, always come to the next session with something that you want to talk about. Or if you want to continue with the issue from before, talk about what worked from this session, from the last session. Talk about what didn't work. Talk about even additional questions you might have after you have gone home and processed what it is that you guys talked about. And then even sometimes tell them what you disagree with. We cannot say that we're the experts in your world, but what we are here to do is to help you process, to identify, and to support you and provide resources to help you get through your journey as best as we can. And so what that means is always be willing to tell us what we need to work on within your session. Always be mindful of what didn't work. Always be mindful if you felt a type of way about something. Just kind of talk about those things and bring it up, and be sure that you're getting the things that you need when it comes to mental health. So again, I hope this segment provided you with so much information that you were able to either share with a friend or even you utilize when it comes to your mental health journey. And so again, thank you so much, Coffee Break with Candace, for allowing us to be here and to have this conversation around mental health. So again, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you guys have a wonderful day. I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys embark on your journey around mental health.